Joining me on set, we have our guests from the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards. We have Mr. Theodore Reddock, Executive Director, and we also have the international consultant, Mr. Ramon Madrinan. All right, just to give you a little recap, now the government of Trinidad and Tobago is attempting basically to boost the non-energy manufacturing base and to improve the quality and standard of non-food products that are exported from this country. Now, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards has been tasked with developing a draft national quality policy to make this a reality. The national quality policy basically is expected to enhance trade facilitation and market access, creating and sustaining a more enabling environment to facilitate increased global competitiveness in this country. To explain that entire sentence, basically, is the acting director of the Bureau of Standards, as we just introduced this morning.
Morning, everyone. The Bureau of Standards has been in the business of quality for quite a while. We're not new to it. It's been a bit slow developing the various facets of it, but in recent times there seems to be a greater level of interest in the national community, and we are hoping that this is a good time for us to be more successful with our endeavors in this area.
So tell me something, how much work really has been going into actually putting together and drafting this policy?
Well, it's part of a much larger scheme of activity, but specifically what we have is a project funded through the Caribbean Development Bank, backed by our line ministry, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which will allow us to engage potential participants in this process, because it's not really a process for the Bureau of Standards. It's a national arrangement. It's a national policy. Now, the policy is supposed to guide an entire system or infrastructure of quality throughout the entire country. And in all various activities, you mentioned trade-related issues. It's not limited to that. It's quality in general. Of course, if you have a wonderful factory, but you need to export and the roads are horrible, that you're going to need some quality in the roads as well. And if you don't get water, then maybe you won't be able to do what you need to do in the right kind of manner. So it's quality in general. It's just that the focus and the driver tends to be trade, because of course that's the engine of the economy.
Now, is Trinidad and Tobago looking to other countries? This is where I'd probably bring in Mr. Ramon into the conversation. So is Trinidad and Tobago basically looking to other countries to help in developing this policy in any way?
Yes, this is very important because having a good quality policy is a necessary policy for the development of any country. This is a thing every country has to do, and most countries in the region have gone through this process. So it is very important that Trinidad and Tobago does its own process, but for that it can look over what the other countries have done in this area. And there's very good examples of how you can do that and how you can do your own arrangements to make sure that quality crosses over every aspect of life. It's not only for production, it's also for government, but it's also for everybody's daily life.
And how instrumental or have the other countries been in terms of lending support or helping Trinidad and Tobago in developing this policy? Have there been efforts made by Trinidad and Tobago? How instrumental would you say the influence of those countries are in terms of helping us develop that policy?
Okay. As I said, each country has to do its own path, but that doesn't mean that you cannot look over and see what things have worked or not around the area, and you have some success stories that you can tell. For example, Uruguay has been very good with their dairy products and how they managed to improve the quality, and now their products are everywhere. It had also happened with Costa Rica, and of course you have other interesting countries to cover. Jamaica has done some interesting changes. Colombia has been also very successful in setting up its basic quality institutions. So this is, I think, is an interesting journey that Trinidad is starting, and of course they have gotten a very good group of experts to help with that. But the most important thing is that the people will need to support this. People will need to understand the importance of quality and how quality crosses over, and how central this this policy that is being created, it has to be for every institution in the country.
Excellent.
I should mention here, though, that
Yes.
regionally within CARICOM, we have recently developed a regional quality policy within the CARICOM area. And the idea is that national policies will be developed in each territory that will be aligned more or less with this policy, and hopefully it will create a background for increased levels of trade and business within the region, because we've been recently talking about that as well.
Okay, so this question, basically, this issue brings me to my next question. Mr. Reddock, can you tell me how have consultations been going thus far, and how do you all intend to approach it, really?
Well, for this specific process, the consultations have basically just begun.
Okay.
In fact, tomorrow at the Bureau, we're going to have our first major workshop. Hopefully we'll have our minister opening. That's Minister Gopi School, opening the event. The idea is that we're making our first attempt at drawing interested parties together, because it's not our policy. So the idea is that in the same way that we develop standards, we bring the interested parties together, and what we do is we record what they want and put it together to try to find the best possible arrangement for the country. So that process is going to officially start tomorrow, and we don't have a very long timeline, so we'll probably have another 1 or 2 events like that and some smaller ones. But we have tried in the past to bring interested parties like that together. Usually the response is very good.
Excellent.
It's just that it hasn't gone on to create the kind of national effect that we would have wanted. But generally people understand and they do respond.
All right. And Mr. Madrinan, just to bring you back into the conversation, in your capacity as international consultant, what role are you really playing in all of this, would you say?
Yes, the role of the company that I work for is called as a partner, is basically to help in the process of developing these policies, to raise all the issues and how to best set up this policy and how to capture in that policy all the needs of Trinidad. So it is very important for us to receive the right information, so we are able to set up a framework for a policy that will really work for the country. This policy and the institutions behind are really key to the development of the country. I mean, you cannot develop or export more if your products do not meet the quality needs of the people here and the people who's buying them all around the world.
Okay. 1 minute to go, one final question. Why this policy now and not before?
Well, it's been on the cards for a number of years. I think we've been trying various things, and we've come to realize that we need to engage the important people within the country. So it's really just a different approach. It's not that we haven't done it before. We've realized that it's really the important decision makers that we need to bring together. So on this occasion, what we're trying to do is to just focus primarily on doing that and ensuring that the concept becomes embedded in the normal life of Trinidad and Tobago, so that it can make a difference.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, members, here we're speaking about the Bureau of Standards. policy or national quality policy.